Hi, my name is Santana. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I make talk videos on thoughts that I find interesting, whether that's introspective thought combined with research, or if it is just a social theory that I have found interesting lately. There's kind of like a large range on that. I don't want to get too specific on it, but this week, I have really been struggling to make a video today, from my own negative thoughts to my cats running amok and making a lot of noise to the fact that I have a pounding headache that I can't seem to get rid of. Um, but in all of that and trying to push through and challenge myself to continue to create on a regular basis, I kind of took that like negative thought part that I mentioned and did a little bit of research because I wanted to understand what my brain is trying to do when I'm having negative thoughts. Like, most things in our bodies don't usually do things for no reason, even if they're misfiring. There's something that your body's trying to do. Um, when an action is occurring. So I was reading a Psychology Today article by a person named Mark Travers, and he was talking about how our amygdala is the emotional epicenter of our brain, and that's where our negative and our positive thoughts come from. So if we're thinking about what purpose that our negative thoughts serve, looking at that article and thinking about the science behind it, that our negative thoughts are a survival technique that we have developed over hundreds of thousands of years to keep us safe. But in my own personal experience, I find that those negative thoughts can become maladaptive. Instead of helping me, they actually begin to harm my body by causing me more stress, and stress is not good for your neuroendocrine system, or just like I guess, your body overall. So I was thinking about what I could do about it. What can I do to reduce that stress level in my body, to make myself feel better, to do a bit of self-nurturing? And in this article, this is not necessarily a new thought. This is something that I feel like I've heard before, but was definitely referenced in this article. That we combat our negative thoughts with positive thoughts, but that it has to be an active process. Like, you have to challenge yourself to counter your negative thoughts with positive thoughts, or to just generally try to spend time curating positive thoughts in order to start to make a real difference on the negative thoughts that you're having, and to change some of those neural pathways. And I was thinking about that and trying to think about, some things that I did this week that brought me joy. Things that I don't have, negative thoughts attached to. And I kind of wanted to share some of those things because I think it's easier said than done to be like, oh, you're having a negative thought, just have a positive thought. I don't think that's very productive. I think sometimes we need to look to our social groups and our social worlds to figure out ways to do that. It's not always something that's inherently known, because if it was, then we would just do it. So this week, a couple of things that I did to curate positive thoughts as a way of healing and having a better relationship with myself, um, they were all mostly related around outdoor activities. That's something that I've found brings me a lot of joy. And I know that there's a lot of science to back that, like, exercise and being outdoors releases, the good chemicals in our brain that make us feel good. It's kind of just getting up and getting out to do those things that can be the challenging part. But this week, a couple of the outdoor activities that I did to help my brain out a little bit, to give her a little boost, where I did my first long distance bike ride of the season. I was recently gifted a really nice Schwinn bike that just needed a couple of small repairs on it. Got it repaired, got out on the trail. Luckily, I live somewhere with a really nice bike trail, and I got out and did about a 10-mile run on it. And it was just a really good ride. Like, I got to sit with myself in nature, and I saw lots of bunnies and ground squirrels and just creatures going about their lives. while, you know, kind of getting to think and listen to some of my favorite music. And I am just thinking about how when I got back from that bike ride, I was just like hyped up on the on the good chemicals in my brain. I wasn't really having a lot of negative thoughts. Like I felt good. It feels good to, you know, exercise and get those chemicals. But when I started the ride, it wasn't for those purposes. It was just because I kind of wanted to get outside and I knew that it would make me feel better. Um, and then I also invested in my first paddleboard recently. There is a lake near where I live as well. And I'd been seeing so many people out on the lake with kayaks and paddleboards and motorized boats, and I was kind of thinking about which one of those options would make the most sense for me. And a bit of background knowledge, I'm someone who, when I'm trying like a new outdoor recreation, I like to purchase like a cheaper version of the tool it takes to do that outdoor thing, so that way I can actually try out and see if I like it before I invest a lot of money into it. Because as a neurodivergent person, it can be a pretty slippery slope to just go out and start buying things because I think it's something that I might enjoy. But anyways, oops, sorry. Um, anyways, I got in this paddleboard and went out with a friend who was having a rough day and spent some time on the water, and it was really, really nice to, you know, have the sensory experience of being out on the paddleboard, of feeling the water on my feet and the smell of the water and the trees around me. And you know, this was yesterday, so there was like a yesterday for me would be a Saturday, so there were a lot of people also out on the lake enjoying it, and I got to have a lot of fun conversations with my best friends and with a lot of the people I was meeting out on the lake, because we were all kind of in a similar mindset of getting outside and enjoying the day on a Saturday. And it was just fun to get to be goofy and fun with someone I care about in a low pressure environment, because unfortunately that's not what every day is like for me. Um, and so that brought me a lot of joy. I thought it was really fun to do. And then another thing that I did to bring me some joy that's a little bit more challenging right now um, is getting out and socializing. I'm very new to being alcohol free. I am somewhere around like a month and a half without alcohol, and it's brought up a lot of emotions for me. Like, I'm someone who struggles with PTSD, and of course that comes with a lot of things, but I think for a long time I was using alcohol to not have to think about it, to not have to confront my own brain and the parts of my brain that were discomforting. And so now I'm getting a lot of that back in full force. But I'm trying to remember that that's not a bad thing, that we have to deal with those thoughts, because if we don't, as soon as we stop using whatever we're using to cope, they're just going to come rushing back in. So I went out to socialize, and I think socializing as an adult can be really hard because a lot of socializing is based around alcohol. Like we had an Uptown street festival that I've loved to go to every year that I've lived in the place that I've lived at, and I got to hang out with some good friends. But I think that I had to confront a little bit more of those negative thoughts and anxiety than I would usually have to confront because I'm sober. So I knew that socializing was going to make me feel good, but I also knew that it was going to come with, you know, some just awkward social interaction. I think that currently right now, with the lack of connection and kind of the loneliness epidemic that we have going on, everybody's kind of struggling to socialize. And maybe not everybody, but a lot of people my age and in my generation are definitely struggling with loneliness and how to connect with others. But I got out and I ran into a lot of friends and got to have a lot of good conversations, and just kind of spent my evening listening to music. And it, although did come with some anxieties, brought me a lot of joy. Socialization is just really good for your brain. There's like, that's pretty irrefutable that that it's good for your brain to get out and socialize. But that made me feel good, and yeah, so those are three of the things that I tried to focus on this week, to take an active step in my own well-being, to, combat negative thoughts. And it doesn't mean that I haven't struggled with negative thoughts. I think, like I said earlier, I was struggling with a lot of negative thoughts coming into trying to make this video. Is this video going to be good enough? Is it going to sound smart enough? Is it going to be put together enough? And the simple fact of the matter is, I am enough. And creating when I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling now is probably one of the most helpful things that I could do to combat that. And I think it's also important, like, and part of the reason I wanted to talk about it is it's not abnormal. It's not abnormal to have negative thoughts and to get stuck in negative thought loops, but it's also not an excuse to stay there. Um, it takes active work to challenge yourself to think positively. But from everything I've read, the more that you do it, the more that it works and the better that things get. And I'm a firm believer that all good things take hard work. Um, and, maybe there's some nuance to that, but yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Nothing too crazy, maybe a little on the deep side. I'm hoping to get together a video about a book that I recently found out about, which is Liquid Love, which is written by a sociologist, and it focuses on connection, and how connection has changed in the modern age. But that is going to take some extra research and more than just a week of thinking about. I need to order the book and do some deep diving, but that's something you can look forward to in the future. It's definitely something I will be working to make a video on. I just want to be thoughtful in the way that I make that. So yeah, here's to me honoring my commitment to make a video every week for you all, while also, taking steps to be a better version of myself. And not with the idea that I'm ever going to achieve perfection, but just that I want to have a good relationship with myself so I can have a better relationship with others. So if you stuck around to the end, thank you so much. If anything resonated with you or you like what I'm doing here, if you wouldn't mind to leave a comment, or subscribe if you're feeling up to it, that would be awesome. And I will get back to you next week with another fun thought or social theory that I've dived into. So thank you and have a good Sunday.